Please, in the next few minutes now, we are going to stop. The next few minutes now, we are going to stop. By now, we should be rounding up, please. We have just 1 minute. We have just 1 minute, please. So by now, we should be set. And this is to bring to our notification also that any moment from now, we are going to have the presence and the advent of His Excellency. So by now, we should be done with our syndicate session, please. We have just 1 minute to do that, please. Any moment from now, we are going to have the presence of His Excellency. So by now, we should be rounding up totally. Thank you.
Bro, bro, bro. Sorry.
Please let us have final touches now. Final touches. Thank you so much. Now we want to have the presentation of the syndicate groups. And we'll start from the first group on my left here. Please, it's not about what has been written on your cardboard. It's about the arrangement of this particular setting. So if you are in group C's according to the cardboard and you are sitting in front here, so you are going to be called first. So I would like to call the group one, the supposed group one, starting from my left side here, to please come forward for their presentation. By now, I want everyone to please listen, please. Please listen, please. By now, there should be pause to everything that we are doing as regarding the syndicate and brainstorming session. So, group one, here, please, your representative. Your representative, please. you are expected to submit the names of your representatives, please. We are going to have the paper coming to your side. Please submit the name of the representative. Very, very important. Please. And now we want to have the presentation from the group one, which will be presented by the representative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Abdulwahid Wasila. Can we please give it to her by clapping for her, please? Thank you so much. And that will be the first presentation as far as the resolution comes in from the certificate brainstorming. Thank you. 2 minutes. Please, we want to have the presentation now, please. There is no more group discussion for now. Please. We want to maintain a total silent and temporal. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am Abdulwahid Wasila Samotayo. The question given to us is please brainstorm and highlight 5 strategic areas that needs urgent government attention and intervention that will put a stop to youth agitation and impose confidence on of the populace in their leaders. Okay. Myself and my group members, we came out with 5, like before we can provide solution, I think the first thing to do is to identify the problem. So not quite long, everybody knows what happened in Nigeria, the NSAS protest. It has been long that people have been calling for protest, people have been talking, but there has never been a time that they spoke loud as they did during the NSAS protest. Like there has never been a time the youth saw us okay, like we did during the NSAS protest. Now we have asked ourselves, these things have been going on for long, and for now we have not gotten positive response like we expected, like what we expected from the government after the NSAS protest, and we are just hoping that the government will attend to the youth before another, because the incidents led to so many bad events, bad occurrences that we don't pray for to occur again. Now, to identify the problems that are causing agitation in our youth, the first thing is unemployment. Like when I just met some people this morning, most importantly my group members, most of us, the only thing we said is that I'm an entrepreneur. We did not even mention that I attended a university. Most of us are actually forgetting that we attended school. Myself, like I sell drinks, and I even ask myself that this one that they are used to send me to school, why didn't I even start this business earlier? Why did I go to school in the first place? And sometimes I think of it, I see my mates somewhere like they are thriving. Like it is not like education is totally useless, but it has not been made to like to show that there is actually value in education. So there is high rate of unemployment in our youth, and just like we all know, like a hand that is not doing, I don't know how to put that, is the devil's workshop. Like an idle hand is the devil's workshop. Another thing that we identify as one of the reasons for agitation in our youth is lack of basic amenities. Like our roads are bad, like almost every road everywhere, it's all over Nigeria. It's not like a particular state. Our roads are bad, there are no basic amenities. Like when there is a serious health issue now, the next thing they will say is that such person should be thrown out. What are they doing to our health facilities? There are no good schools. Everything is just like it has been like that since I was born. There is no changes. There has not been any changes so far. Another thing is regulation of government policies. Like sometimes we just wake up to something like this is the new law. Who was called to a meeting? Like who was informed before government is because we just some a day we just woke up that they want to cancel social media. Social media bills also the youth are not being carried along. They are just waking up and just telling us this is the new thing you should do, this is the new thing you should follow. Another thing we identify as a problem is lack of communication between the government and the youth. We are not being carried along. At this point, I would just like to appreciate the governor of Kwara State, His Excellency, Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrahman, because he has done wonderfully well in including youth in his government or governance rather. Then the last thing is insecurity. Like there's no security in Nigeria. We are seeing what is happening these days. Like people are being killed, kidnappings is on the high rate. So we just want our government to look into these key areas and then they should find a solution. They don't have to provide a solution for us so that the society will be a good place to stay, will be a better place for every one of us. Thank you.
Can you please give her a sound applause, please? Please, we have to understand that while the presentation is ongoing, we shouldn't be making noise. There is no more session for our group discussion. It has been elapsed. We have to understand that fact, please. The next one we are going to start with will come from group one, according to the card you're giving to us. So henceforth, we are going to be calling us according to the number given to us in our card. But please and please, we should maintain a total silence and decorum. Please, it is very, very important. We are having this recording. Ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to invite Mr. Sani Alausa Isa for the group presentation. Please, the sounding applause, please.
Hello, hello, hello.
Group two.
Hello, hello.
Good morning, everyone. Uh, my name is Sani Alausa Isa, and I will be representing the two. Our question is, how do you as a people measure inclusion in governance? So the first thing is, I'm going to define what inclusion means and then discuss the metrics that we use to measure inclusion. The definition we have here is that inclusion is the practice or policy of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might be otherwise excluded or marginalized, such as those who have physical or mental disabilities and members of minority groups. So what inclusion is about is, who are those in our society, who are those in our community that are naturally left behind in the system of governance. So how do we bring them on board? How do we measure that a government is an inclusive government? The first thing we'll discuss is the inclusion of youth. We had the Not Too Young to Run movement. The goal of that movement was to allow more youth to participate in the art of governance. It means that if you look at the demography of Nigeria today, the young people have a larger population. Now, for a government to be inclusive, a government that is not providing for youth, that is not including youth in their system, can never become considered an inclusive government. So, who are those youth? There have been various definitions of who a youth is, whether it's from 16 to 24, whether it's from 18 to 35. But as it stands, we are going to go with 18 to 35. Young people between the ages of 18 to 35 are young people. Now, in Not Too Young to Run, you see that some offices, their age requirements were reduced to 25, which means that a young person of age 25 can contest for an election for that office and win. Now, there are political appointments. I think the Kwara state government has done well in including a lot of young people in their government. But do we have enough? That's the question. So if we are examining a government, like examining a system, one of the things we look out for is the number of youth that are actively involved. You know, you can have people and they are not doing anything, just figure it. Now, actively engaged youth is what we use to measure whether that government has included youth in their system or not. The second thing is women. There have been a lot of talk about women being involved in governance, involved in politics. Before now, there have been designated roles for women. But what we demand in an inclusive government are not just designated roles. We want equal access. Now we want more women to be open. You don't say that, oh, she's a woman, she can't do it. It should be merit-based. The woman is competent. Now, if you are evaluating a government, we look at the number of women that have been allowed to get involved. The convener of this event is a woman. If it was a man, I don't think the man would be doing any better. So if you have decided that the role has to be for a man, if you have decided that the role has to be for a man, it means that you deprive us of the competence of that woman. So the third one is people living with disabilities. I think strangely, we always forget that they exist. And the society is not complete without these people. I'm not sure that we made provisions for them in this event. It means that this event is not inclusive. The next one is technology. Systems of government everywhere are driven by data. They are driven by technology. You are here, people are recording with mobile devices, so people are streaming these events live. If you have a government that is still using paper mode, that is still telling you to come and queue to register for things, you cannot apply online. That is not an inclusive government. The government has failed to move with the current reality. So technology is also one of the things that we consider in measuring inclusivity. Now the last one is transparency and accountability. In all of this that we have measured, youth, women, and people living with disability and technology. The process must be transparent and the government must be willing to give accountability to those who have elected them. So if you see a government, if you look at these five items that we have listed, youth, women, technology, transparency and accountability, and people living with disability. If they do not tick those boxes, it means that they are not an inclusive government. Thank you very much.
Can we please give it to Mr. Sami Alausa Isa? That was a wonderful presentation. Nonetheless, I want to bring to your notification that while planning this program, we were reminded to add the people living with disabilities, and we are here representing them. Can we please appreciate them, please, once again, please? While we are waiting the advent of His Excellency, may I invite the group three for their presentation. The representative is Mr. Sikiru Isa Nuhu. Sorry, Mr. Ibrahim. Ibrahim. Don't forget you have just 2 minutes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm observing this very information and represented to them. Actually, the problem that we are having in most of the communities in Kwara State, there are some that are the same and some are community based. Among those that are nearly we have the same, most of the community is the education. Education in most of the community we have early dropout of the problem, and we have some community that access to education is very, very low. Like we have an instance of a community whereby we have just only one school, secondary school, and one primary school in some communities. And while in some communities we have many schools, but families can't provide for their wards to be able to enroll in some schools. While some other can provide little, some can't provide for quality education. So like some public schools in our community, for example, in beyond here, the supervising ministry have to do more in terms of supervision and quality assurance. We have some workers that they don't usually go to their place of primary assignment always. Apart from that being the problem, some youths like we have the issue of ASU presently facing many public universities. It's not every family that can pay for private university. So we want government to intervene in education. So also we have the case of sensitization, whereby some communities, the youths, they engage in thoughtful activities like they do thoughtful. We also have unemployment as one of the problems that is facing our community, especially the youth population. Some were able to attend university and obtain a bachelor degree and some other um, certifications. Yeah. So some certifications, but there is no job. So like some people, they started a business. We encourage the government to provide an enabling environment for businesses to grow, like to invest in small and large scale businesses. We also find that politics, youth engagement, youth involvement in politics is also low. We take lesser responsibility than we take less responsibility. Like people don't take responsibility, they prefer politicization than taking. So the youth Education and timely access to information. Many people don't have access. I'm sorry, please.
Can we please be on our feet as we welcome His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Madam Abdulrahman. This program targets the youth in the state in order to have our thoughts, our ideas to respond on how we can put Kwara State further in the north central region of Nigeria, and also how we can give ourselves the sense of inclusiveness in the governance, and how we can harmonize our thoughts together. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Madam Abdulrahman, with your resounding applause, please. And that is it. Now we are going to have the chanting of the national anthem after the counting of two. 1, 2, go. I will please appreciate ourselves. Using this moment, using this medium to welcome His Excellency. As we can see, we were before having the presentation of the syndicate discussion that we have had earlier. And now, permit me, Excellency, sir, to introduce to you the panelists at which we are having here. Starting from Mr. Okasami Ajayi, the Public Relations Officer, Kwara State Police Command, ably represented by DSP, Barrister Adekunle Iwalai, the officer in charge of Human Rights Unit, Kwara State Police Command. Can we please appreciate it, please? Likewise, we have the CEO of Acorn Springs, in person of Mr. Toby Adeyemi. We have founder, the Positive Image Consult, Mr. Nasir Abekader. Likewise, we have a youth advocate, Mr. Kennedy Kamaldin. We also have the founder of Tamira Wellbeing Initiative, Mrs. Rukaya Yahya. His Excellency, sir, we have Kwarans here. Likewise, we have some special guests that we invited. To make it shorter, permit me to welcome Dr. Amina Ahmed Aliman. Likewise, the honorable member representing Kwara Central at the Nigerian Youth Parliament, Honorable Abikerim. We have the representative of Joint National Association of People with Disability, Comrade Yusuf Bashir. We have the Vice Chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Kwara State Chapter, Mr. Mustafa Abubakar. Up next is the presentation of the speech by the convener in person of Mrs. Kausara Adi. Can we please give it to her, please?
Turn the mic in Chopin.
Thank you very much. His Excellency Alhaji Abdurrahman Abdrazak, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Mr. Nasir Abdulkadir, the CEO of the Positive Image Consult, Mr. Toba Adeyeye, the CEO of Accord Print, DSP Iwalaye Adekunle, the Mrs. Tamira, Mrs. Yusuf Yahya Lukoya, CEO of Tamira Wellbeing Initiative, Mr. Kede Kamaldi, the youth representative on the panel, the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sport, you're welcome. All youth here present today, good morning, everybody. My name is Kausara Abdulrazak Adeyi, Kwara State representative on the Northern State Governors Forum Committee on Youth Inclusion, Governance and Priorities in the State in Nigeria. I am most delighted to have you all present in today's town hall meeting. This is an indication of readiness of our youth in taking charge and responsibilities in issues and challenges affecting our future. On 18th of November 2020, the Committee on Youth Engagement, Priorities and Inclusion in Governance in Nigeria, ably chaired by His Royal Highness Alhaji Ahmad Nuhu Bamali, the Emir of Zazzau, were inaugurated. Contained in the committee are members of National Assembly, Minister of Women Affairs, members of House of Representatives, commissioners, civil society organizations, youth, and different religious organizations. The committee was set up as a result of resolutions of Northern States Traditional Rulers Council meeting held on Monday, 2nd November 2020. And the following are the terms of reference the committee are to work on. The first one is to work out various ways of engaging the youth in the North at different levels. To prioritize different programs for youth development in the North. To also identify and develop different platforms for youth inclusion in governance architecture in Nigeria and the North in particular. And any other recommendations we deem necessary for the committee to work on. Following these resolutions and the assignments accompanied, it is imperative to take the lead by taking actionable steps towards actualizing the content of our terms of reference. This necessitated this gathering, a gathering of intellectuals from various local governments and different walks of life in this state. This town hall meeting aims to deal decisively with the term of reference and the first on the list, which is to engage youth in Kwara. In this town hall meeting, we hope to work out different programs for youth development in the state, identify and develop different platforms for youth inclusion in governance, and chart a way forward for a better representation of youth in governance. This, I believe, can only be achieved by involving the youth, who are the main concerns of this committee. Present in this meeting are representatives of the youth, National Youth Council, Nigeria Youth Parliament, youth organizations across different local governments in the state, 16 local governments, NGOs and civil society organizations, religious body, market women, artisans, and various professionals across the 16 local governments of the state.
We've selected these participants carefully, considering the level of experience and their ability to contribute to the topic judiciously. I therefore implore all and sundry to deliberate effectively and provide workable solutions to the challenges at hand. I trust with the heads here that will chart a way forward in this town hall meeting. This program will be in two sessions, which is the syndicate session and the panel session. We've actually commenced the syndicate session earlier this morning, and we'll be having group presentations as time goes on. We have some groups have actually presented, and as time goes on, we'll be having other groups presentation. While we'll be having a panel session after. This town hall meeting is a very important one, as the resolutions will be presented to the state government and also the Northern State Governors Forum to be worked on as time goes on. Once again, I welcome you all to this town hall meeting. I want you all to sit down, relax, engage, and enjoy this program. Thank you very much. Once again, my name is Pastor. Thank you.
That has been a wonderful presentation. Can we please appreciate that once again, please? His Excellency, sir, as he rightly put it, we've started the syndicate and the brainstorming session, whereby we'll be having the presentation. Any moment from now, if you are called to present, after appreciating His Excellency, just establish the protocol. Thank you. I want to use this opportunity also to welcome one of our panelists, Honorable Commissioner for Sport and Youth, Mrs. Joanna Nasaopolo. I hope please appreciate that. And now to have the presentation, it will come from Group 8, and that will be from Dr. Amina Ahmed Aliman. Don't forget 2 minutes for the presentation.
Just 2 minutes.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, thank you very much for permitting me to stand here today to talk about something that is very important to all of us. And I'd like to recognize your presence. Thank you very much for having me. All protocols duly observed as stand with the existing protocols. My name is Dr. Amina Ahmed El-Imam, and while I'm not exactly the typical youth, I'm closer to 40 than I am to 30, I would still like to appreciate you all for insisting that I talk about this. The question given to my table was simple. How do you as a people measure inclusion in governance? And we have a summary response to that. We say, by evaluating the proportion of the various demographic groups at all levels of governance. We have a simple flowchart here that we quickly put together to illustrate what we mean. The key demographic groups, Your Excellency, sir, are age, gender, disability or ability, religion, traditional belief, and citizenship status. These are the demographic sections that we looked at as we tried to dissect the issue of inclusion. Talking about age, that is by far the most important demographic because we are here today talking about the youth of Kwara State. The youth, if you look at it, we want to measure inclusion of youth in governance. How many youth do we have at the various levels and arms of governance? Simply and empirically speaking, the House of Assembly stands head and shoulders above their contemporaries in other states in Nigeria because we are lucky to have 80% youth representation in the Kwara State House of Assembly. The executive, similarly, has a fantastic representation of youth among the commissioners and others, but we do not have exact figures, and I would not like to quote something I cannot back up. The judiciary, similarly, we don't have figures on that, and we are not sure if they have a good youth inclusion at that level. Military and paramilitary organizations have lower amounts or proportion of youth in their ranks. Gender is another demographic that we'll be looking into. For instance, in Nigeria, we have the two genders, males and female. And it goes without saying, there is no game saying that females are the less included or more excluded gender compared to males in governance. The female gender suffers different manifestations of their absence in inclusion of their exclusion from governance. Firstly, there is the gender gap. In almost every facet of life, governance, and governance is no exclusion of this. In almost every facet, there is a gap between inclusion of men and women, with women always being on the lower end. The gender pay gap specifically refers to the fact that if you have 10 CEOs, male, and 10 CEOs, female, the average earnings of the men will surpass the women by at least 30%. It's a figure that has been touted over and over. It's an issue that has been discussed at all levels, state, federal, United Nations, and so on. Gender discrimination, gender discriminatory laws. There are laws in this country, and I believe affect us as parents too, where women are expected to either be inferior or seen and not heard, or are told that go and wait for your time, or they are told let's just give one woman to meet gender representation. Tokenism, they put one woman there, 20 other men, and it's accepted. In fact, you are praised for doing well. We are lucky in Kwara State that we have one of, if not by far, the most gender sensitive governor in Nigeria today. Having said that, there are still many women in Nigeria and Kwara who have a lot of unpaid labor that they perform. And when you have 24 hours in a day and you spend 20 of it or 18 of it doing labor tasks that you cannot put on your CV, like cooking, cleaning, taking the kids to school, it will not translate into a degree for you or into money in your bank account. It will not make you employable in governance. This is an issue that really excludes ladies. Disability as a factor of inclusion. How many people with physical and autistic spectrum disability issues do we have in governance today? We don't know a single commissioner, member of House of Assembly who uses a wheelchair. Not one. And we have them in Kwara State. Some of them are university graduates. This might not necessarily be the reason why they are excluded from governance, but we believe that there should be an attempt, an effort to include them in governance. Any attempt to measure their participation in governance will fail because we don't even have good data. We can simply measure the inclusion of people with disabilities in governance in Kwara State by their presence. Are they present or not? Usually you will say no. Now, not only are the mobility less able and the dyslexic and autism spectrum people excluded, people with sensory disabilities like blindness and deafness are also not visibly included in governance. Second to the last point is religion. It is easily measured by the proportion of Christians in governance vis-a-vis their proportion in Kwara State, or the proportion of Muslims in governance vis-a-vis their proportion as a proportion of the population. If we want to measure, I think we can confidently say that in Kwara State, there is no discriminatory practice of including Christians or Muslims in governance in Kwara State at every level. And Kwara State, as usual, has been leading the way in intra-ethnic and intra-religious harmony. We are, after all, the state of harmony. Now, religious dictates. Well, we've established that there is no disparity. Religious dictates, it's important to mention this because there is widespread alleged religious exclusion. A number of times in committees, in syndicate groups like this and outside, there are rumors and claims that some religions are not allowed to rule or select or be part of governance. This is something worth investigating. Traditional belief is another demographic. If you belong to the traditional system where it is believed that a woman should not do something, or this culture, we don't do this kind of governance, we don't like contesting for politics against who we are, you will be excluded from governance. Now, at the intersection of traditional beliefs, gender, and religion, we have the problem of the perception of female leaders. Across board, it is believed that a woman should be seen and not heard. Whatever beautiful ideas you have, leave them in your head. You cannot be governor of Kwara State over our dead body. And put one woman commissioner over our dead body. We don't want too many. And so on and so on. Again, like I said, we are leading, but the perception of female leaders is really affected as a demographic. Young females are the most affected because you have age on your side, you don't have the support of the elderly because we have these gerontocratic challenges. You don't have the support of the men, again because of gender disparities, and lastly, traditional. Finally, citizenship. It is said that if you have stayed up to 15 years in the state, you should be able to participate at all levels of governance of the state. But there are claims that this is not really the issue. Again, in my personal experience, Kwara is one of the most sensitive states where you can rise to your fullest potential regardless of where you come from. That is my personal opinion, and I hope that Kwara State continues to maintain its leadership as a very fantastic place to live in. We have two recommendations. You can help us even further our forward-thinking governor, sir, Your Excellency, by insisting on quotas for women at all levels of governance. Affirmative action to ensure that the beautiful ideas we have in our heads do not die with us. Now, finally, the deliberate and intentional inclusion of all disadvantaged groups should also be considered. Thank you very much again, Your Excellency, for listening to me. Thank you.
Can we please appreciate our once more, please? His Excellency, sir, we are going to be having just one presentation before your speech, sir, and that will come from the group 9, led by Mr. Sikiru Insanu. Sir, just 2 minutes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to sound resistant to God. My name is David Sandu, and I'm representing Group 9. The question given to us was to provide a strategic roadmap towards ending poverty and insecurity. Well, we say we can end poverty and insecurity, we can only reduce solidarity, and we try to highlight some key points. On the poverty aspect, we have access to quality education. So we believe that if everybody has access to quality education, this will reduce the level of poverty we have within our state or the country at large. Also, good governance. Government has much more effort and position to do in the governance of states. They need to provide more access to education and some other social amenities for citizens of the state. Investment in infrastructure and job creation. When we invest in infrastructure, it creates job opportunity. And when we have job opportunity for youths and other people in the state, it's hard to the economy of the state and the country at large. Industrialization and growth of economic policy. That's also in line with the job creation. Enforcement of education policies. We believe there should be a way the government can enforce education policy that enables every family that their wards should attain certain level of education. If no more than secondary school, at least have a secondary school education. With that SSC, you could at least get a job opportunity. So, in the aspect of insecurity, we have proper monitoring of the borders. We believe our borders are too porous. There is import and export of firearms and some other illegal imports. So the government should look at this way in reducing insecurity in the state and the country of life. Also, good governance. The aspect of poverty and insecurity works hand in hand. They are both interwoven. Insecurity leads to poverty, poverty leads to insecurity. Provision of adequate firearms and equipment. We believe the government have much more effort and rules in providing adequate security and firearms for them. We have complaints from security personnel saying when they face banditry and they go around, the firearms they use are more standard than the way our security personnel are being used. Increase in security personnel regulation and community policing. We believe there are ways we can increase the policing of the probably the establishment of the community policing and some other security personnel. This will work in hand in making sure that our insecurity is being. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that presentation. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we want to hear from His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Madam Abdurrahman Abdurrasaq. Can we please stand up and give him a resounding applause as we are president? And also, His Excellency, sir, we want
Good morning. Members of the State Executive Council are present. The State Coordinator, Committee for Engagement, Guarantees, and Inclusion in Government, the sponsor of the agenda, and other members of the committee here present, top government functionary, the discussant panelists, in our midst, distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to this August gathering. This event seeks to chart the way forward for youth inclusiveness in governance and even development in northern Nigeria. I commend Councillor for putting this together. It's the first town hall meeting by any member of the state in the northern region of Nigeria. She seems to have gone ahead of all of them. She's representing us well in Kaduna, and I indeed got a call from the government of Kaduna to applaud her. And I believe she is the only female on the committee. This meeting will assess various milestones we have achieved in the state, especially youth engagement and development. It will also discuss outstanding challenges facing us as a people. Most importantly, it will propose solutions to drive effective engagement and inclusion of youth in governance. The recent EdSARS protest put the government up again and said, we cannot forget our youth, we can't leave them behind. They have to be included and be part of their own future, after all, the youth are the future. Our administration has prioritized youth inclusiveness in the scheme of things. And for the first time, we have mainstreamed gender inclusiveness in government by having the highest appointment of number of women in government, in cabinet, in administration, and in administrators in Nigeria. Gender inclusion in governance. I think that the way forward is for us to be able to legislate it. Because once in a while you have an executive who prioritizes gender inclusiveness, but once it's done, the situation is back to normal. So it will be a good idea, even from you, members of the floor here, you can sponsor a bill in the House of Assembly, which I personally will support. If you propose a bill, I can push to an executive bill to create gender inclusiveness. Why do we say that? For example, you can argue that 50% of our civil government secretaries in the ministry must be women. So we reform that. 50% of heads of MDAs must be women. Today we have the head of the kindergarten as a woman. That's part of the process going forward. You have directors in ministries, local government chairmen are women. So this has to trickle down so that there will be more participation in government. And we have also designed a couple of initiatives that are targeted at youth and women. While investments are being made in the education sector, because the literacy by Kwara State, the upcoming innovation hub, digital art center, and entrepreneurial process, and digital Kwara is a good example and initiative. Now, we're going to invest heavily in education over the next coming years. Some of you may not know this, but Kwara State used to lead in education in northern Nigeria, to the extent that during the First Republic, the headquarters, capital of northern Nigeria was in Kaduna, and the civil servants, the main leading civil servants came from Kwara State. The likes of SP, Daniel, Chief Awudi, and all of them were all in Kaduna, Abdulaziz Atta. Kwara dominated education. But today, I'm sorry to say, we're at the bottom of the rock in Nigeria. It's a sad situation. We have not invested in our youth in education in the last 7-8 years. And why has that come to be? We have dropped the ball. We dropped the ball. But we're going to turn from situation. All of you must have heard of UBEC. UBEC is the federal government agency, the federal government uses to intervene in education in states. Every year, the federal government, through its gives state governments through you at least 1 billion naira every single year, provided the state government pays counterpart funding of 1 billion naira as well. So that means that sector will get 2 billion injection minimum in that year, aside from other budgetary approvals for that sector. But since 2013, Kwara State has been blacklisted, no funding from UNICEF, and it shows you that there's been no investment in education and youth since 2013. We were blacklisted because the money they gave us then was embezzled, and so UNICEF blacklisted us. So when we came into government in May, on May 29 last year, that was the situation we made. We approached the and they said we have to pay back 450 million, which we did. We paid back, and thankfully we're in compliance now, and we've been able to access 7 billion outstanding for those 13 years. So with that 7 billion, and our own capital funding of another 7 billion, that means we're going to inject at least 14 billion into that sector. And that goes primarily, or 80% of that goes into infrastructure, education infrastructure, but we also talk about content, curriculum. Now, in doing that, we look at what the other states are doing. We have a peer review mechanism. And on my own part, I'm saying that aside from Lagos, because Lagos education in Lagos is propelled by the private sector. There is a huge private sector, private schools in Lagos, so we push Lagos aside. Which other states are performing very well? We found out that Kaduna and Edo are doing very well. So we try to study what those two states are doing to make a difference and at the top of the rush. Well, what Kaduna did was they did an aptitude test for all their teachers. They found out that 22,000 were incompetent and were not supposed to be teachers and promptly fired 22,000. And at the back of it, they hired 30,000 teachers and improved their content. So now, in the North, Kaduna is number one going forward. Now, what did they go through? Because of the noise, there was a lot of noise hacking 22,000 people in Kaduna, and the political issues associated with it. We look at what they're doing. They don't engage a company called Great Academy that provides content, IT for schools. And what does the company do? They just give a tablet, a laptop, a tablet to every teacher in the state. So those are fake teachers or incompetent teachers just drop their tablets and move on to look for something else to do. They retrain the teachers and content, and a group is there at the top. To the extent that last month the World Bank gave a group $70 million as an endorsement of what they were doing, to go ahead with what they were doing. And in Kwara, we had a meeting with Great Academy, because we're looking into a memorandum of understanding for Bridge to come in here as well, so that we can engage them. And we know the political upheaval of sacking 10, 15,000 teachers, 20,000 teachers. So we'll not go through that. We'll just go through the competency with Bridge Academy to gradually build content and making sure we equip our youth to be able to compete, not just nationally, but globally. And want to come back where we were before to lead the North in education. So the challenge is out there for us. We are going to invest, like I said, heavily in education. I believe this town hall meeting is likely representative of parents and all of the youth on here from different groups, and I hope that the event will harvest sustainable solutions to our challenges in Kwara. I urge Kwara to stand up for what is right all the time and don't give in to violence. We cannot achieve anything in environment, we only destroy ourselves. Now, what I expect of you today is to throw ideas of what we should be doing. What the government is not doing right? What is going to be doing to make things right? And what foundations government should be laying for the future? Our doors are open. We don't know it all. Yes, we were elected by you to represent you to take decision from you. So you also have the right to give us ideas, guide us to say, this is what you want. You can't sit down there and just be criticizing government every day. When you have ideas in your head, it might sound stupid to others, but it's ideas that may or may not work. We have to venture into things that we think may work or may not work. I assure you that we shall give practice to developmental ideas and adventures. And once again, let me congratulate the convener of this meeting, Chancellor Abdulrazak, for his zeal, for representing us well in the. Like I said, I have good words from the side, even the email observes commenting her effort. So thank you very much, and I wish you all very good job.
Thank you so much. How do you appreciate His Excellency? Ladies and gentlemen, we want to have His Excellency to call around the syndicate groups that we are having so that we can pick interest in any of our ideas and thoughts. This is
So, that's what So what they were asked is, please, they should suggest actionable programs that can bring youth to speed and also tap from their collective potentials for a better Nigeria. So this is the solution they have to action on this particular group. So for this particular group in Nigeria, so they have long-term solutions there and they provided short-term solutions. So one of the long-term solutions is for under education, which is technical education, and also employment opportunities, bringing investors and MSME development. And they also provided answers to insecurity, how governments can actually solve the problem of insecurity in the state. Yes. Okay, so for this particular group, they will have to brainstorm and highlight strategic areas that need urgent government attention and intervention that will put a stop to youth agitation and response confidence of populace. So first of all, they identify the causes of the agitation. Why are you agitating? What do they want? So and they provide answers and strategies the youth can, the government can actually put in place. All these agitations. So for this particular group, we ask them how do they, as people, measure inclusion in governance. Okay, we want youth inclusion in governance. How do they measure? How do they, as individuals, measure those things? How do they know the government is actually including in governance? So they provided answers based on gender, based on disability, based on religion, based on youth. Those are the criteria by which they can actually say, okay, the government is actually including youth in governance. Thank you. So for this particular group, 7, they will have to brainstorm and highlight strategic areas that also need government intervention and also so they make points of accountability and transparency. They need to stop discriminatory factors of employment. That means they need to be fair. That's why they employ people to different offices and different jobs. They also want the government to also create an enabling environment for government to thrive, for businesses to thrive and come together. And they also suggested that the government should invest in tourism. This is an aspect for the government to work on. Thank you. For this particular group 9, they will have to provide a strategic roadmap towards ending poverty and insecurity in Nigeria. They will have suggestions to ending poverty, which is access to quality education, good governance, and also on insecurity, they make suggestions for the government's remuneration of security personnel, and they also need to increase security personnel in community policing. So they gave because so all this report, all this information and everything will be collected together after this program. This will come in policy documents and also a particular framework which will be presented to the states and also the forum for the government to work on. So for this particular group, we have what we look at major concerns of majority of the youth and elderly in their community. In this particular meeting, we have representatives from 16 local governments. All the 16 local governments are actually represented in this meeting. So we have them navigating the concerns of the youth and also the elderly ones in their community can actually be addressed. So they provided, this is the problem they are solving, they identified the problem. And the first problem they identified here is education, orientation, and political participation. And after identifying the problem, they were able to provide solutions to the problems that they think the government can actually work on. The first thing they stated is to regulate PTA charges and also technical monitoring of the students. And also they said they need to introduce more subjects that teaches mindset. So this is a very important aspect of when the government to work on monitoring of the teachers, of the students, and also they need to change their orientation. So another one, they pointed out approach more youth in government and also female inclusion. And I think His Excellency, you are really doing well in this aspect. Even me personally, I am the only female youth from the 19 other states in the forum. So it really means a lot and it speaks well of the administration in terms of inclusion of youth and also women, because I'm actually the youngest and also the oldest to So for this particular group, they were asked, how do they from different communities, from the 16 local governments, how do they can actually measure inclusion in governance? How can they actually know the government is actually working in their own favor? So they must identify what is inclusion, what do they understand by inclusion, and also how they can actually measure inclusion in government, which is transparency. They also mentioned transparency and accountability, and I think they mentioned that in the other group also. So the youth needs to be involved, we need to invest in technologies. So those are the areas we actually mentioned in this particular group. Thank you. Okay, so for this particular group, they will have to suggest actionable programs that can bring, and I'm really glad Your Excellency, you also mentioned the fact that youth need to suggest, they need to tell us what do they want. So it is by knowing what they want that they can actually be addressed and their list can actually be provided from them. So they want youth, I think on the part of the youth need to be orientated. And that is why we are all here today, because we also reorientate what people can actually, as people can actually do better. Because we all need to work on ourselves also, being youth. We all need to tell the government this is what we want in a constructive way. So they also want youth inclusion and representation. They want seminars, workshops, and symposiums for capacity development. So you can actually have programs, symposiums, conferences whereby they can actually engage with youth and sensitize them and develop their capacity to really go a long way in developing the youth. Thank you. Okay, so for this particular group, sir, So they were asked to highlight 5 strategic areas that also needs government intervention, because what we don't know, we cannot advance. If we don't know a particular community or a particular area is facing a particular challenge, there's no how the government can actually work on it. So we need awareness. Identify most you this my observation, almost all the groups are demanding for accountability and transparency from the part of the government. Transparency and accountability. So, and also favorable economic policy, and also that can actually help in boosting business and also people generally. And also feedback mechanism. They need a way whereby any reports, the youth can actually channel their reports and talk back to the government. Thank you, sir. Okay, so for this particular, okay, thank you. So for this particular group, they were asked to provide a strategic roadmap towards ending poverty and insecurity in Nigeria, because this is a big problem that is actually affecting the society. And for a community to develop, there's a need for the poverty to be eradicated and also insecurity. When there's insecurity in the state or in any country, the country cannot grow because there's no peace of mind. And once there's no peace of mind, it is very difficult for even youth to develop not just of their contributing positively to the growth of the economy and also growth of the country. So they identified the primary causes of insecurity and they were able to provide solutions. On the area of poverty, they want equal distribution of wealth. They want government to encourage people in entrepreneurship, and this is through provision of a lively environment for businesses to thrive. So after this, they want empowerment and infrastructure. So by empowering our youth to go along with the development of the country, and even over dependence on the government will reduce, because they themselves they have something to do. Personally, I have a business I run. So having a business will really go a long way and allow them to have a sense of responsibility because they have something they are working on. So if the government can actually empower people in businesses, get jobs for them to really go a long way in reducing insecurity in the state and also poverty to them to reduce greatly. Thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please appreciate Mrs. Kausara Abi for that wonderful talk, heading His Excellency, Madam Abdurrahman Abdurrazak. And His Excellency, sir,
We have Nigerian Youth Council as stakeholders of stakeholders so very important and some NGOs. Okay, so what do they think are the major concerns of majority of the youth and elderly in their community? We have the Nigerian Parliament, yes, yes. So this is we have some NGOs from the north. So we have NGOs there. So the problem of youth in the rural areas to achieve rural urban settlement instead of developing their rural areas, mainly because of herdsmen and bandits are disturbing them on their farmland. So, they also identify the negligence of youth in policy formulation. So they should actually involve youth when formulating policies for the country or for the state, let me say for the state in particular. So the youth should be involved. By getting them involved, it will really go a long way to ensure it is what they need and not just what they think they need. The government is actually providing for them. So they should also look. They also said some elders are being sidelined in the community policy making formulation. So this is an area we want the government to also look into. The youth, the elderly should also actually be carried along in policy formulation so as to actually know exactly what they want and actually provide for their needs instead of just doing what you think they need. So communication gap between the led and the leaders. So the government will actually want. I think you are actually His Excellency. You are actually working well in this regard because there's actually a synergy between you, the administration, and the youth, and people general. So lack of support for the youth. So they want governments to support the youth more, provide initiatives that will support them, support their education, support their businesses and every other career path. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. His Excellency, we want to have the panel session now.
Thank you. Thank you. I've gone around see a lot of serious work is being done here. Let me assure you that what you're doing right now is not just for Kwara State government. It's for the government of the whole northern region. And the context of here being taken to our first and fourth business down to us there in the state. So it's a global thing you're doing, and I'm really impressed by the depth of the work and the contribution to it. So I thank you very much for the
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please give another energetic applause to His Excellency? His Excellency, sir. We would like to have your presence here as we'll be having a panel session. We have just few questions to ask some of the stakeholders that we have. Can we please give it to His Excellency? He's waiting to get this. Thank you so much, sir. And we have our panelists, and the person that will anchor that is here with me. Starting from, actually, we're supposed to have the Honorable Commissioner for Sport and Youth, and as you can see, she was here, but she had another assignment being sent by His Excellency. So we are working with the 5 panelists that we are having here, starting from the PPRO, Kwara Command, represented by DSP, Barrister Adekunle Iwalaye. Also, we have Mr. Toba Adeyeye, the CEO of Econ Print. We also have Mr. Nasser Abakader, the founder of the Positive Image Consult. We have Mr. Kehinde Kamabin, a youth advocate in the state. And lastly, we have Mrs. Wokoya Yahya, the founder, Camera Wellbeing Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it to them again a resounding applause as we are starting the panel session right now. Thank you so much.
All right, starting on the second call, His Excellency, sir. Okay, we go straight to the panel session. My name is Akolade Uluwatoba. It's a privilege to be standing before everyone here. Okay, starting from my honorable DSP. Sir, what is your take about community policing in Kwara, and how best do you think youth in the state can interface with the state police command for adequate security, sir? The mic, please.
As we all know, security is everybody's business. And when we talk about community policing, it has not been a strange practice in our country. It means involvement of every citizen in policing our society. If you look at the rate of people being arraigned in court for various offenses, ranging from kidnapping, cultism, banditry, they are mainly youth. So if the youths are actively engaged, in various works and professions, and I strongly believe that the rate of crime will be drastically reduced. The best way of involving the youth in all forms of life and giving them adequate employment, good job opportunities, and getting them engaged will definitely reduce the rate of crime. Then secondly, when we talk about youth involvement in community policing, people that are criminals within us are not hosts. They are not from the outer space. They are people that live with us as our brothers, as friends, as relatives, as fathers and mothers. Giving information, critical information to law enforcement agencies and at the right time too, we encourage us to perform better in bringing security closer to the people. So when we talk about issue of community policing, it is everybody's job, both the young and the old. And youth being in the active state of life are always privileged to have some credible information that can be passed across for adequate action by law enforcement. Thank you.
I will celebrate the SPO. I like this for that. Thank you very much for that. So you've had it all. It takes you and I to get involved in this. Thank you very much, Mr. Gibson. All right, Mr. Atoba at the AU. As a business owner and a CEO of Ecot Street, what has been your experience doing business in this state, and what are the challenges that you faced so far?
His Excellency, like, His Excellency, Madam Grandma, like the executive governor of Kwara State, thanks for being part of the project. It's a great privilege this time of my experience. For me, as a business owner, it's starting up a business in Kwara State, I must say, is one of the easiest ways you can actually start a business. At the point where I was considering of starting up a business after my university, I was a bit more familiar with the Lagos State, and it seems to have a bigger market. And everybody was going to something to other. So I was contemplating about going to Lagos, going back to Lagos, or just setting up something in Kwara State. I took the risk, but down the line, I had no regret whatsoever. Starting up business in Kwara State is so easy. You have less worry from the government. They create a living environment for everybody that wanted to start up a business. The standard of living in the state is relatively cheap. You can run a business and get a store as low as 30,000, 3,000 naira. So when it comes to setting up, it's very, very low. So for me, it wasn't a serious task for me to set up a business in Kwara State. But moving forward, few of the challenges that we have as business owner in Kwara State seems like a national issue, and I believe the state have done well. I'm not part of those people that will complain about the tax issue maybe because government should give us tax rebate. There's no way in the world that we done. Definitely they will have to pay our taxes, and a great advocate for that. If the buyers are not come to my company for one, they don't go back. When they come, in the standard process, we make provisions for that. They get settled immediately and they leave. So I believe if the government can also create more enabling environment for us, what am I saying regarding that? In a way, maybe if we can have, at the past, we have what we call industrial areas. We still have a couple of industrial areas now. But for young entrepreneurs coming up now, it seems like the future wasn't prepared for us to say, where are we going to when we need that industrial facility, where we can get direct power, the places that currently operate on those territory area where you can get power and all, it seems expensive for you to say you want to set up now. But if the government can also look ahead for us to help us to create for the future, we that we are coming up. And again, another thing is when it comes to data and information, you might want to go into so many businesses. It seems impossible to get some facts out. I might not be able to tell you the number of youths in Kwara State. I might not be able to tell you the number of working class people. I can't just walk into a particular thing and get all these data to help me to formulate my plans and plan my own businesses and all. So access to information, I think, is also going to go a long way. And for young entrepreneurs that also come in, we belong to different ages and stages. For someone in the 50s and 60s, what we see is like an idea to them might be totally, if someone in 50 and 60 might not have some certain idea. Like compared to someone in 18, 20, they have some ideas because their brain works differently like the other people. But they don't have the resources, they don't have the capacity to finance those projects. So I feel that if there can be more like a synergy or a place, a meeting point between someone that as a financier, I want to invest in a particular business. How creative are you? I might be in my 40, 50, I may not have the idea. But youth know the future. They know what's trending, they know what people want to listen to. Internet is the next generation now. Netflix is making more money than all the cinemas together. So definitely the future is on our own tab, is on their phone. So they have this idea. the older people. So if there can be a synergy, maybe like a research institute kind of, whereby young people can come together, form an idea, and it might not be the government that will finance the project. It might just be an individual that sees that, okay, this is the finance investment. But if there can be that avenue for a mutual ground between the investor and the young guys who have this idea, so many things can be done. But I think the government have done extremely well for. I was amazed when they created the Ministry for Enterprise. It's strange and it was a great initiative. So it shows that definitely have interest at that. The innovative or also coming up, I believe that I might not have the details of what all entail, but I believe that it's going to solve some of these challenges that we face as business owners. When it comes to power, road, and all this, I think it's more of a national issue and the state of the economy. The state might not be able to address it for business owner in that regard, but definitely I believe that we're in the right state and definitely and I'm just in a peaceful state. It's really interesting to start business from here. It's easy to grow and expand across the nation. Thank you.
That was so brilliant. Thank you so much, Mr. Toba Adeyemi. All right, to Malam Nasir. As someone who always have this constant engagement with the youth, what has been your major challenge when you're engaging with those youth and the price of engaging them, and how can that problem be solved, sir?
Your Excellency, Razak, the Kwara State and youth of Kwara State and the North Central in particular. I like that question, and it's over 15 years we have been engaging youth, not only in Kwara State, in Nigeria generally. And the major issue that we have is the kind of educational system that we have, right from the beginning. We have fantastic youth, but to my surprise, from our research and the constant engagement, we realize that the people that are really doing business in this state, that are turning around the economy of the state, have just unlettered women in the market. In the markets, on daily basis, the turnover on daily basis is over 70 million. They exchange hands. In Oja Tutu, in estimation, it's about 150 million naira. Those people that are selling rice, because I worked in the bank and there was a time the government pulled out all the funds from the public funds from banks, and most banks are still surviving. And when we did the research, we realized that most of them are surviving on retail. And there's so much money in this town. And in banking, one thing we realize is that there are indices through which we measure the performance of the bank. In one state, we always lead in terms of deposit, most banks. But when it comes to profit, we are not there. There's something we call intrabank lending. And in Lagos, they don't save money there. The marginal propensity to save in Kwara is far higher than to invest. In Lagos, they invest more. So whatever you deposit from here is what they take to Lagos. And the Lagos business people, they borrow from all the like of and that's how they're making money. Now, what I'm trying to say here is that we do not necessarily invest here in this sector. The highest investment, why we have poverty so much. I'm coming to the engagement of the youth. Why we have so much poverty so much that our youth are not well engaged? Because of the manner of our investment in this state. Our people invest only in hostel, hotel, and when somebody wants to start a business, hello, sir. Hello. When somebody now wants to start a business, and they want to start a business, for example, where they invest 100 million, only to employ just 5 people. You see people with big hotel, and they only to employ just about 10, 15 people. And they invest 10 million into which sector, like what Accord is doing, like a printing price, and it has over 30, 40 people. And then you see people investing like that, and then now see people investing in the hotel at Okyoto and the Paso. And without any employment. So there's no multiplier effect on our youth. And unless the government deliberately change the direction of investment, and again, there are so much shop too many shops around, and then we have to reduce the number of shops that we have. What are they selling there? What are they selling there? They are selling, they have glorified sales rep that call themselves international business. And they only to tell us that they are bringing their business from China, from Togo. When we have so many things that we can do here. Our youth are not well engaged because there is no proper support in terms of our investment. And unless we take this direction, sir, in 2016, GTV told us that they had the highest income from Kwara State through their online transfer and internet banking. And when we asked them, they said Kwara State made Lagos data. It's on the internet. What did you notice? Sir, you paid more than 3.5 billion naira salary on monthly basis. And the law of banking is that you cannot even collect anything less than 150 at the counter. So 3.5 billion naira people that will collect with 5,000, 40,000, they collect all this money through ATM. You can imagine the income to the bank. And the question is, what are they doing with this money? This led the youth are involved. What are they buying with the money? People are not collecting 20,000, 30,000 to go and build houses. Look at some people that started from Legally and they are already there at the Taiwo and the big shop. In Ilori alone, most households in Ilori are named after their business, business enterprise. They are called Tawu. They build all these areas. But the youth have abandoned the guguru that you are buying at ShopRite for 500 naira. It's what you know, guguru used to sell for 5 naira. All what they need is that how do we invest in this innovation of making sure that the guguru is now produced in a technological way and that look at that. We have been advocating the matter of our soul. The aspect of the business presently is engaging more than 60,000-70,000 youth at the grassroots. Ordinarily, by the time we are able to change their soul to school uniform, they used to tell us that it's hard. And to come to short I can tell you, sir, authoritatively, take me for it, sir. It's going to engage more than 150 or 200,000 youth through the value chain. And then by the time we do that, we can now analyze Niger State, all North Central, we can discuss with the governor of North Central, and they tell them that, okay, our household will be adopted by North Central governor as their own school uniform. You can imagine the market. How is it you not go to Central? And I know you're not the one that looked. So all these things, our youth, again, now my message for you, sir. There must be a deliberate effort on the part of government. This is what I noticed. Human capital development, emotional intelligence. These are the things we have to think about. Apart from the kind of education we have, we must develop the emotional intelligence, not how to take it. They want to get it today and get it tomorrow immediately. Unless we train them at the manner of process. And then let me tell the youth, they keep saying that the end will justify the means. That's the popular maxim. That do it anyhow. Right? But please endeavor to tell them that the very means pre-exist in the end. It's not to tell you the way you get to that, when you get your certificate, when you get your money, will be challenged through the means through which you get the money. And by that time, you'll not be able to start. So the government can invest in a human capital development. This is what you have been doing. Your education of our youth to understand the investment and then make a deliberate effort to change the pattern of our investment from petrol to this. Thank you very much.
Are we learning something here? Are we learning something here? Beautiful. Please give yourself a round of applause. Celebrate Mr. Myself for that beautiful presentation. All right, to Mrs. Tamira. All right, so you are the CEO of Tamira Wellbeing Initiative, right? Can you please tell us what are the other initiatives or what are the steps you've taken in that initiative that you're backed on that can actually help and empower the youth?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Definitely, I like Abdurrahman Abdullah. I'm humbled and honored to be here. Let me just go straight forward to the point. During the COVID-19 lockdown, Camera Wellbeing Initiative actually did something. We did a Kwara palliative distribution, which was supported by friends, family, and state government. But after that distribution, after I think the fourth batch, because we're doing it in batches, I sat down one day and I was thinking, and I realized that as young entrepreneurs in the States, food is not actually our major problem. That food that I shared during that period, I just realized that it was as if it was like a droplet of solution in the big ocean of problems. And I got thinking and I realized that we need to support ourselves. We need to do something together, especially with the fact that after that palliative distribution, I realized the power of coming together. So I came about tech. It's called Camera Entrepreneurship Community. With tech is an initiative that I'm so happy that it happened and there are so many wonderful results. It's a community where we support one another as young entrepreneurs. We motivate one another, inspire one another, learn from one another, as well as business experts. So there are different activities that we have in the initiative. There is every Monday night we have tech events, and it's an initiative where with the game night, I drop a question in the house, and it's to motivate these young entrepreneurs because we need to reorientate ourselves that as a business owner, as a young business owner, even if you want somebody to invest in your business, you need to be able to promote your business, be proud of your business. And that initiative is starting to bring everybody out of their shell. There is nobody like a genius. The only thing is, at times, some people just need little push to get where they are going. And with the game night, there will always be a ultimate prize at the end of the game, whereby the winner gets to win something that can actually add value to themselves or to their business. Either by you can win an entrepreneurship book, you can get a training from a business expert, something that will actually add value to your business. And every Tuesday night, we do, I call it Tech Family Worship. It's an activity where you have any problem or challenges you're currently facing in your business, drop it in the house. Because you can never tell. There might be somebody that's gone through that particular thing and you will be able to pitch their own solution to you because you can't know it all. You know, every Friday or Saturday we bring in business experts from everywhere to come and train us on Unity. But this is one thing I realized with that community afterwards. During that 10-day night, most times I tend to look for sponsors for the ultimate prize. And one day, few of the tech members reached out to me and they were like, Tamira, please, this gift you normally give us after the game, how do you get it? I said, I can't look for sponsors. I can't if I didn't get sponsors, I use my money. And they're like, are you serious? And at that point, I saw changes. Members in the house, before the game, they'll reach out to a place in variety sales, reach out to her. This person sells, reach out to her. We are now trying to change our narrative, our orientation about any competition. And that's how we can have a good community. When we pull ourselves up, when we push ourselves up at the community, in that community right now, we are over 200 young entrepreneurs. And I'm starting to see changes even in the young entrepreneurs on their business pages, how they relate with their customers, how they started changing the narrative in their businesses, which is something that, well, we still have a long way to go and we are still on that journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Rukayat Rahaya. All right, please, every one of you, I want everybody out there that are on your social media pages to be involved in this conversation. We are really learning serious things here. So you can go on Twitter and use the hashtag KW Youth Town Hall Meeting and just drop a comment, drop a post on your social media pages, and let every other person contribute to it. Are we learning something, please? I want an answer. Are we learning something? All right, great. So celebrate yourself, please. Celebrate yourself. Okay, so Mr. Kehinde Yusuf, as a youth representative, what are your ideas on programs that are needed to be initiated by the government in collaboration with other stakeholders, which will promote youth inclusion and governance?
Excellency, sir, and every other political leader observed. I must say, the reason why I'm here currently here to be representing the youth, one of the vital reasons is due to the impact and the utilization of youth driving society we are following for. So one thing we need to know in terms of collaborating with stakeholders, we need to forgo these kind of feelings of foreigners coming to meet us. I think it is now high time for us to check on the youth that are currently doing something amazing in their community. We have lots of youth doing amazingly well. Instead, the African nation as a whole, the continent, already portray us as being ruled by a bad governance. It is no reason. The reason for that is due to displacement of youth in terms of their projection towards the drug addict, being into all sorts of bad behaviors and some other things. This is necessarily caused by corruption as a whole. If, if there is no increase in corruption in our community, I believe the youth should have been able to progressively work in line and provide solutions that are veritable for our society. Now we need to work on communities. How can we combine local communities together? I think it is now high time the government looks towards the area of identifying the human resources, the natural resources in every particular location or community. For instance, I have a mentor, Amugod, the person producing Amugod production, this Jungo Ori. He had to go to the local community where the resources are. Majority of the youth here currently today do not know that we have abundant resources that we can transform to make them a successful person. I think the government needs to identify all these resources and create a reliable data for people, and also a seminar or in terms of innovations or enlightenment on what they can use to transform these resources to make a better living for every one of us. Also, the issue of climate change. What is the climate change? Climate change in our society today is underrated. The youth needs to know the essence of transforming pollutions in our society, making it into money. And this can generate a lot of income to the government. But we don't need to necessarily sit down and wait for foreigners to come in between us. I think it is now high time we check on the youth, we try to get the data, and try to detect what they can do to improve their ecosystem. In 2018, I and my team,
we formed a group to improve the tech ecosystem in Kwara State. The first thing we try to do is leverage on and make provision for available resources in terms of where are these resources and what can they be used for. I think with that, we can move away from.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin. We should kindly celebrate him, please. Celebrate him. All right, Your Excellency, sir, please, we bring the audience to ask panelists the parting words, sir. So, starting from DSP, Adekuli, please, your parting words to the youth and the solution to most of the problems that I'm repeating with discuss here. Because as a youth.
The Excellency, sir, let's have the class of panel. I only have a parting, my three parting words to the youth here present is to the fact that we have with us now what we call information technology. That is the era in which we are now. As good as this era is, it still has its own bad effects. So what I would just encourage the youth is to tap into the positive side of information technology in developing and advancing themselves rather than tapping into the negative side of the system. The asset we carry all about has so many functions. It has the good functions and it has the bad functions. And we should just encourage ourselves that we should make use of the good aspects of the functions of the cell. Well, I need to let them be aware of the fact that since 2015, the law has been put in place, which is the Nigerian Cybercrime Act 2015, carries as much as a 10 million naira fine and about 5 years imprisonment for anybody caught involved in any of these cyber crime offences. Some of the cyber crime offences include the internet fraud, identity fraud, and the theft of finance. We equally have a cyber extortion. We discovered that most of these kidnappers use telephone as means of communicating with relatives of their victims too. So, and there and then, we equally have what we call cyber staking. Cyber staking is a type of crime too. So we just encourage our youth. There are good things you can do with the internet, like getting yourself involved in legitimate business using the net. But we just discovered that most of our youth these days prefer the easy cut, easy way into making wealth. But the problem there is this: at the end of the day, such a person might find it like land himself into trouble, like get himself convicted. Go to some of our courts these days, some of the high courts, each day we gain conviction. Our heart beats because these are young Nigerians with record of ex-convicts hanging around their neck. Their future, they are being deprived of so many opportunities they could that will as well be open to them in the future. So we just encourage our youth, let us tap into the positive side of information technology rather than the negative side of the information technology. And I just want to make it clear that our officers are being trained now. They are being exposed to training on this line of investigation. And only the guilty will always be afraid. If you are not guilty, you won't be afraid. I was actually in discussion with one of the members of the panelists before this interview. He said he has been stopped several times and that questions have been asked. If you know your answer has been, if you are stopped, you will stop, questions will be answered and you will be left off the hook. But it is only the guilty that will always be afraid. So I will just encourage as a parting word, we should try as much as possible to solve all form of crimes and criminality and still will be better for us.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. So, Mr. Tobati, you please, the parting words.
So I would just want to emphasize that I believe the government has started a whole lot of this initiative that's creating the English of enterprise. A couple of the parents also mentioned human capital development. There's actually a ministry. There's also like the joint ministry for human capital development. But I believe most people here are not even aware. So it shows how well are they performing. I think one of these ministries I will also have, we should also try and create a way, we should also try and find a way to monitor their processes. We should also not try and we ask people, are they making impact? Are they actually doing the right thing in those ministries? Because some of us, because of those ministries, we don't really know the what their workflow, what actually happening there, except once in a while here over the news. But I also want to encourage the youth here that have interest or is thinking of going to businesses. For me, I would always give advice you. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be rough, but definitely you will find joy in it. It's very interesting when you go through those processes. See, there's a joy when you get to a particular age and you look back and you feel fulfillment in what you have done. It's not just about the money. It's not just about, okay, I'll be able to have these billions of naira, but it's actually pursuing your dream. If after 10 years, 20 years, you look back, will you be proud of who you will become if you work and retire? Will you go back after retirement and feel like I find fulfillment in me working as this or being an entrepreneur and pursuing my dream? It's not going to be easy, but I can assure you, you will not fail. When you fail, you stand up again, and definitely success is possible for everyone. Thank you.
Success is possible for everyone. Thank you so much. Mr. Nasser.
Now, my own simple suggestion is deliberate human capital development. We have to invest in our youth. As they are, they can change the world. In China, the people that are producing phones, all this technology in China are young people, even out of school children. If your education nowadays in 21st century should go beyond 4 walls of the university, what can you do with your hand? And the Northeast, they have an economy that they are using. I've always been teaching it. I think China to use it. Most clothes that we see at Taiwan Taiwo Sade. They have been produced in Aba. I worked there once. All the suits, the shoe, the bag, they have a centralized area and market where they have all these things where they are producing the shoe. The only snack in their own initiative is that anytime they do anything fantastic, they put made in Italy. But of course, they are producing it in that. So we can do the same thing here. Also, we have so many things here that only require innovation, and the youth can do it. We have the shoemaking experts among them. They are doing fantastically in tailoring, in fashion, and then let us, and the matter of strategies are, let us have if we can pull out without incurring extra cost from civil service. Go to Niger, go to Lagos, go and create market for our own product while supporting our own in-house product in Kwara State. And then we can create market that survive, and I think we engage more youth on this. So my party word is this: all of us here, we have youth. We are very prayerful here. We have strong faith in God. We always believe that everything will be right. We fast, we pray. But let me warn us: faith is not blind optimism. Faith is not sitting down expecting to fall in place without your effort. Faith is not keeping from taking responsibility for your life. Faith is that thing inside all of us that insists, despite all evidence to the contrary, that greater things are waiting us ahead. Only we can challenge ourselves, to fight for it, work for it, and achieve it. Thank you.
So much, This is right.
In terms of youth inclusiveness in politics, to be honest, not everybody will be opportune to have that role. But if you're opportune and you're given a role to play, as a youth, please have it at the back of your mind that leadership is not about the title. Oh, I'm the commissioner for Kwara local government. And leadership is not about your designation. I'm the commissioner for health. It is about the impact you're going to make. It is about your influence, and it's about your inspiration. For every role that you are being called to come and play, if you're being given that opportunity, there are a lot of youth that will look up to you. Being a great leader, don't it doesn't have to set out to be that you're a leader, but it is about the difference that you're going to make, and it should always be about your goals. If you're being given that opportunity, you have to have those goals to crush. And don't forget, the values and orientation that we leave behind to other people, other youth that are looking up to us, will determine where our community is going. Thank you.
Okay, under the inclusiveness of youth and engagement, I think first of all, I would like to talk about the government putting consideration into emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence in three ways. One, the empathy. Having empathy on the youth, and youth itself having empathy, trying to identify their own emotions so that they can contribute immensely and try to delude from the fact that we have a bad governance, we have high rates in corruptions, and due to the daily news we read every day, we should not be demoralized by all those news of monkey swallow money, snakes stole 50 billion, one senator acquire fund in an unpatriotic way. All the G-Wagon, the G-Boys and everything. We should not be demoralized by all these bad news. I think we should put empathy into consideration. Another thing is self-awareness. We cannot do it without learning. We should always strive for improvement. And if we are saying we are the youth of the leader, we should stand on our toes and prove them wrong. We should try to strive for more knowledge, not just the knowledge of baking bread or shoes, and innovative knowledge, the knowledge that can reduce our extreme rate of poverty and can take us from the level we are to another level. And third one is motivation. We need to motivate one another. It is not easy. Waking up in Nigeria every day is not easy, especially if you stay in line in the social world. You see a lot of things, a lot of demoralizing activity going on. We need to motivate ourselves. And as we are motivating ourselves, we should always have hope in our government that they can literally do well for us. Lastly, according to what Osibajo said in one of the news that I briefly watched, he said prayers and faith cannot is not the only thing we need, except those people who are currently in power, or we that we are ready to do the work are essentially ready to take risks and think outside the box, not even outside the box, and think as if we don't have any box. Also, to work so hard in achieving the future we want for ourselves and the forthcoming generations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear panelists, for your contribution so far. All right, Your Excellencies, now thank you for sharing and your time with us. We really do appreciate that. Okay, sir, we do hope that you have a little remark as regards what our panelists have said, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, finally, well, we all learn every day. Have a good takeaway from here. Like the issue of the actual, we looked into it. It's something we can try to do. The first sample we got, which we tried, they were thick, hot, and fell apart after 3 washings. But the second sample turned out to be better. So it's R&D with staying behind and we're expressing and developing that. If we want to take the right young and teach it, which will be durable and sustainable, we'll go put it into our shows and also sell it to northern states and other states as well. So, like I said, I won't comment much to repent in any way the outcome of this, the report of this government summit. Eventually, we'll get a report. Like I said, the work we're doing is not just for Kwara State, it's for the entire northern Nigeria, which all the northern governors will sit on your report and collect it one document to serve the whole of northern Nigeria. So good luck with this and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
And now, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, will be having his exit. Can we please give an emporium of clap to His Excellency, Madam Abdulrahman and how please appreciate it. Sir, the national anthem. National anthem, please. 1, 2, go. Thank you so much. The His Excellency want to have this photograph with our panelists to convey that and functionaries from the government. Please, audience, we still have few presentations from us. We still have few presentations from us, please. Please, we still have few presentations. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can we please appreciate ourselves once again, please? It has been a success as we have recorded a great interface with His Excellency. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we still have few of the presentations that we want to hear because we have to present them to His Excellency in our report. Please, we may have representative of Group 7, Mr. Yaya Buhari, may have a seat. Representative of Group 7, this is very, very important. This is very, very important, please. Thank you.